Welcome, welcome everybody to a new episode on the Living Life Naturally podcast. Of course, I am your host, Lynn Wadsworth. I'm so happy to have you here. As you know, I am a holistic health practitioner, and I love to talk to women who are in midlife who have varied challenges, let's put it that way, as they go through midlife. I do, if you check out the notes below, have a free opportunity for you for grabbing some things. And today we are going to talk about some of the pain that's associated for some of us as we get into midlife. And I have with me Kim Mosiman. Hope I pronounced that right. She is a wife, a mom, a loving grandma. That is the best, right? Having grandchildren. She's also an author and a coach, and Kim specializes in empowering women who are embarking on their second act. I love it put that way. I kind of feel when we get to our midlife stage that we've got so much wonderful stuff ahead of us. So with her faith-driven approach and experience as a gym owner, Kim offers a unique blend of spiritual and physical I'm sorry, I just got distracted. So let me put a pin in that and go back to it. So with her faith-driven approach and experience as a gym owner, Kim offers a unique blend of spiritual and physical wellness. Her book, Reflections of Joy, provides practical faith-infused strategies to inspire strength, beauty, and holistic growth in every aspect of life. So welcome to our Living Life Naturally podcast today, Kim. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
And what part of the country are you in?
I live in the Midwest, specifically in Iowa.
Awesome. When does the snow start for you?
Oh, heavens. Usually we'll get a dusting by mid-December, and then we get a lot of snow January, February. So, yeah.
So I'd like to ask you what brought you into this specific type of business, coaching, etc.
Well, when I was about 40, I was going through my own little health crisis, and I joined a gym, and it was a competition style gym where several people would join at the same time, take a picture, exercise together. It was exercise and a little bit of nutrition guidance and camaraderie. And then at the end of 9 weeks' time, we'd all take pictures again, and there was a winner. And I found after having my children and kind of falling into the rut of life and work and motherhood that I was really very deconditioned. When we're teenagers, it's easy to be fit, I think, or it was for me. I was active as a teenager, but then motherhood slowed that down and I gained some weight and I was very deconditioned. So I started this new program and just fell in love with the whole thing, moving my body again, seeing the change that can happen when we're faithful to exercise and good food. And I really found some of the best friends in the world through that interaction. And so after several years of exercising faithfully, I decided to open my own gym. So I became a nutritionist and a personal trainer and did the things I needed to do to open my own gym. And we did very much the same sort of thing. So after a period of time of helping people, sometimes when your passion becomes your work is no longer your passion. And I fell away from the gym. Personally, I quit exercising. I was getting my steps in, working my job, and I forgot to take care of myself. And when my husband's job slowed down, we sold the gym, and I found myself back in that position that I was in when I had just turned 40. I'm out of shape, out of love with exercise, and just really at a place where I didn't have a purpose anymore. I had always taken care of someone, and here I am at 50 years old. I can retire, but my kids are gone.
Mm,
My gym is gone. My clients are gone. So what do I do with myself? And that brought about a period of time where I realized I needed to keep learning. I needed to keep pushing myself. And I needed to learn how to be a middle-aged woman. Life is not the same when we're
right.
50
Yeah.
as it is when we're younger. And so, yeah, that's where Reflections of Joy came to be. Lots of great experiences with people in my gym, but then also my own personal experience kind of fused
Mm,
together. And hopefully, if someone reads my book, they'll have a little bit easier go at it than I did.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying is so true because when we get into midlife, whether for somebody it hits them at 40 or it hits them at 50, sometime in that midlife phase, I think that you find yourself reflecting on where you are, where you want to go from here, because my philosophy is life begins at 40, midlife, menopause, whatever you want to call it. We've got so many years ahead of us and really carte blanche to do what we want to do. And that
Yes.
can be an exciting time for us. So tell me, based on your experience as a personal trainer, because we're going to talk about some things that are relevant to people in midlife,
Mhm.
what is your best advice to someone who is experiencing joint pain and maybe especially after they've exercised?
My the first bit of advice that I would give someone is to really pay attention to what they're feeling and what's causing it. I'm a firm believer in recording our health and our life, and I'm really kind of creating an owner's manual. And often when I was working with people, um, something would hurt, and it would hurt on a regular basis. But so they would try to modify and just get through the pain, thinking it'll get better tomorrow. And I feel like we are older and we are wiser
Mm,
and we do have so many opportunities, but our experience would tell us when we're young, it will just get better. As we get older, sometimes there is some wear and tear or some things that we've done. So I really encourage people to track their pain, track their discomfort or their soreness, and to create um, a database, if you will. So when they go to their doctor or personal trainer or physical therapist, they can work specifically on areas that hurt them. I would never encourage someone to just stop,
mm.
but I would encourage someone to listen to their body and perhaps modify or try different exercise if they're hurting.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I was just talking to my husband before our podcast, and he has problems with his knees. He had been a runner, but he injured his to begin with when he was playing football in college, and since has had three surgeries. But he is very stubborn about not wanting to get help with any of this joint pain that he has. But he's pretty good. We'd been on vacation. He did a lot of golfing. It stressed out his knee, and now he's having to do cleanup from the hurricanes. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "So you're playing golf tomorrow?" He said, "No, my I hurt my knee again, and I really need to rest it." And that's what people really need to listen to. Just because we hear things like, well, move when it hurts. Well, that you still got to use wisdom with that and know how you can move your body without further injuring it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes trying to push through, even maybe if you modify, or I've even had people say, well, I changed my shoes to see if that would help. If something hurts every day, there's something wrong. Um, you know, if you do something new, like for me, it's autumn here, so the leaves are
Mm,
falling.
mm,
This weekend, we went out and I raked leaves for 4 hours. Now I was sore the next day
mm,
because it was an activity I hadn't done for a while, but that passed, with a little bit of ibuprofen and some rest. If it doesn't pass, then we do need to seek um, someone wiser to tell us
Mm,
what's going on.
mm.
Yeah.
Right. So, I know from my own journey and from my own health coaching business, um, how nutrition, and as a nutritionist, I'm going to ask you to answer this, but I know that our diet makes a huge difference. And what advice can you give our listeners when it comes specifically to nutrition as we get to midlife and maybe we're experiencing that inflammation or that joint pain?
hmm It's going to sound, you're going to think back after we've talked and think, oh my gosh, she just thinks we need to journal all the time. But I do think we need to
Yeah.
journal all the time. I'll give you my example. I have psoriasis and it came
Mm,
on when I was younger. Um, and it has progressed over time and kind of settled into my joints. And so this is a very good question for me because I know that when I eat things, certain things, it inflames my body. And they're not even bad things. They might be perfectly healthy, whole food
right.
sort of items, and they still impact my body the same way. But I struggled with it for quite some time because I eat a diet full of variety. I try not to settle into grooves, and I love food. I love all foods. And until I started tracking and really paying attention to what I ate today or what I ate yesterday and how I feel today, I couldn't correlate those things.
Mm, mm,
I think it's very important as we get older and we experience some changes in our body, whether it's joint pain or inflammation or even headaches or other sort of recurring problems, that we look towards our food. So often we're busy when we're younger and we just take a couple of pills and make the headache go away or make the joint pain go away. But I think now that we have time to explore the things that cause our bodies to feel either good or bad, we should take full advantage of that.
yeah.
Um,
And there are certain foods I know from my own experience that cause inflammation, but I'm 100% with you about journaling our food. And I know I give my clients right at the beginning because it's not just what you eat so you can count calories, because I don't count calories for
I don't either.
people. Um, but it's like you're saying, so an example for people to think about, and I know I've said this before, yogurt was a staple in my diet, and I love yogurt and could eat it every day. But when I started journaling, I found that it actually gave me headaches. It actually bloated me, and I felt very lethargic. And just because we've eaten it all of our life doesn't mean we can go on that way. There are certain foods that I found that I can't eat that I've eaten all of my life. And dairy is a huge one for me that I can no longer put into my body without feeling the ramifications from it.
Yes, and I would agree. And for me, some things like dairy, I too experience discomfort, but I've discovered through keeping track that there are one or two uh, processes or certain kinds of yogurt
Mm,
that I can eat occasionally without
yeah.
contributing to my problems. So that comes into the journaling as well. It's not always, if we have trouble with dairy, it might not be all
Oh,
dairy.
right,
It
right.
might it might just be a specific process or kind or whatever the case may be. And it's that way with a lot of things.
Mm,
Sometimes a vegetable or a food that bothers me, um, if I cook it, it doesn't have the same impact. But I know those things because if I eat raw corn in a salsa, I have some stomach upset. But if I cook it or even puree, like in a chowder, I can have corn. So I'm not allergic to the corn, but sometimes the processes or
mm, mm,
the way I'm
mm,
eating things will bother me. We have to be aware, and I guess I feel like if I felt good my whole life and all of a sudden now something feels bad, I want to know why. I'd love for it to just to go away, but the world doesn't work that way and neither does my body. So I've really tried to put put things in my life that allow me to discover why something is happening.
Mm, mm. So then, do you believe that there's a way for us to prevent pain as we age?
I do. I think it's like having a car. Regular care and maintenance is always going to make your car last longer. And I believe the same in our body. I just think that that changes over time. So my body, when I was 20 years old, could do anything, and
Mm,
high impact aerobic exercise was fine, and I could lift heavy things, and I could even squat wrong, bend wrong, do all the things wrong, and my body would rebound. My body with 30 years worth of miles on it doesn't recover quite as
mm,
quickly. It will still recover, but I've geared my exercise to I try to look at my exercise one as something I'm going to enjoy. Never again will I do something just for the sake of burning calories or just because I want to go out tonight and splurge on a girls' night out. I don't do that. I exercise because I enjoy the movement and I do only things that feel good to my body. But I try to exercise every day. I vary it up. I think repetition is harmful,
mm,
not harmful, but it repetition can cause some of the problems. So I try to keep my exercise varied throughout the week. And I try to be mindful of things. If I'm trying something new, maybe a new weight bearing class in the gym, maybe I can lift 50 pounds, but I haven't lifted it in that way ever before. So probably not a good idea for me to
mm.
lift all that I can the first time. So I guess I would encourage people in midlife, if they're starting something new, to start small and to work your way into where you want to be.
The other thing that seems to happen to us as we age um, is that we kind of lose our balance, or we do lose some of our strength if we don't keep working on it. So, what is the important thing that we can do as we age to, one thing, limit the pain, and then also to reduce the occurrences of injury?
I think it's very important to stretch and to stretch properly. No longer is it the days in high school track and field where you can plop down on the ground cold and stretch your body. We should move a little bit, stop and stretch when our muscles are warm, and not stretch past the point of where it feels comfortable. Feel the stretch, but don't push the stretch. You'll get to your toes again someday soon when your body is used to it. I also think it's very important when we finish exercise to stretch again. Um, I, it it's just good care, and we should do it from day one of our lives, but we don't, and we don't realize that we need to do something usually until it's a problem. I think weight training is important. Again, I think you should start light and work your way up to a point. It should never hurt. It should be a struggle. That's how we get our
Right,
muscles to
right.
build, but it should not hurt. And I really believe that we have to work on that muscle piece. That's the big thing that's changed for me in midlife is my need for balance. And I haven't,
Mm,
knock on wood, I have not had a problem yet, but my parents struggle, and I've watched my in-laws struggle with just everyday occurrences. So there, if you were to be a fly on the wall in my house, you would catch me brushing my teeth on one foot. Um, I try to cross that line. So if I'm standing on my left foot, I'm brushing my teeth with my right hand.
mm,
I just try to mix things up. And I've also tried some different exercises. I always thought when I was younger, things like Tai Chi would be oh, too easy. And so I didn't ever try. And then when I was older and coming back from my period of laziness or self-neglect, I did start Tai Chi, and it's an amazing activity, slow and still and strong. I would just encourage people, if they have the time, to try new things, and specifically exercises that will help, one, with strength, but two, with balance.
Mm. And yoga's very good for balance too.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that for many of us, COVID closed down so many of the gyms, which was really sad. And people probably got out of the habit of doing their exercise and enjoying it. Even I know I would go outside, but even outside, I would see people wearing masks outside just to walk, and it was a very sad time. And so we've become a little bit lazy about it since opening up. And I know people hesitated going back to gyms. But the good thing is that if you're not in a position now to go to a gym because of that, there's just a plethora of different exercises that you can do, that you can find on YouTube. You can find almost anything there to get started, just to start off and help you get back into the groove of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree 100%. There are, especially if someone hasn't exercised for a very long time, there are some great chair yoga um, videos even,
Mm,
and that provide a great deal of stretching and balance and strength. And it's a nice way to ease back into doing something more.
right. So if there was one thing that you could leave our listeners with in the way of a tip when it comes to taking care of our bodies as we age, what would that be?
I would say, if you are active, don't stop. Um, it's more important than ever as we reach midlife to keep moving and to keep um, those exercise habits or those strength training habits in place. And if you have not ever exercised, it's not too late. Just
Mm,
start. Start by getting up and walking to the mailbox a couple of times a day, because after a few days of consistent movement, you might be able to walk down the block. And and then a few days later, or even a couple weeks later, you can add more. I've recently been working with a client who is not necessarily in bad shape. She just had always worked her whole life, and after retirement, enjoyed just being still, maybe reading too many books, maybe taking too much time off. And she went for a walk, and that's when she realized she needed me, because she couldn't make it very far without feeling like she had gone too far, like she
mm,
had lost all of her strength. And so she would call, and we would talk sometimes when she's on her walk. And the first few weeks, she barely made it around her block, but she did it every day. And then, week two, she would sometimes go out twice a day. She and her husband would go out after dinner. And within a very short period of time, less than a month, she was feeling better about her walks. And so she just trick herself, knowing she was tricking herself, and walk halfway down the block and back again, just adding a little bit more every few days. And sure enough, within a couple of months' time, her daughter came to visit and said, "Mom, let's go for a walk. I know you've been working on this. Let's go for a walk." And to her surprise, she managed a good, lovely 5 mile walk with her
mm,
daughter, not, not, without discomfort, able to talk. And so you can get there again. If you are in a very low state of condition, you can improve it so quickly
mm,
with consistency.
mm. And tell us about, you've got a free resource for our listeners. It's a reflection tool. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, I offer something I like to call it my monthly reflections. My book is Reflections of Joy. So I do try to spend time reflecting on the past month, what went well, what I wish would have gone better, and to plan for the month ahead. So in there, you will find ways to chart your progress or to look back at the month, celebrate, and
Mm,
also to plan.
mm. And
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your book. So it's Reflections of Joy, learning to love the woman you see while becoming the one you're meant to be. So tell us a little bit about why you wrote it and what can we glean from it.
Mm. When I when the gym was still in operation, I always told myself I should write a book. I should tell the whole world about all the good things we're doing so they can do this exercise and eat and on all the things at home and be just like us. And then gosh, I retired and I realized how much people don't appreciate the journey. They are at a certain point and they want to be at another point, and they'll do anything they can to get there because the world will always be better when they reach their goals. And so many of us miss out on all the good
Mm,
opportunities and all of the milestones and the accomplishments along the way. And so while I was trying to get back to a place where I felt good and healthy again, which was not motivated by the scale or
mm,
pant size. I
mhm,
just wanted to feel good again.
mhm,
I kept track of some things and I kept notes about friends or clients from the gym. And so Reflections of Joy went from a how to manual in my mind to a how I manual. Um, the stories of how I found my way back to good health, but also how I really worked to appreciate the milestones and the changes that made a difference and made this healthy life sustainable for me.
mm. That's awesome. And where can people find the book?
My book is available anywhere books are sold online, predominantly Amazon, and also on my website, which is Kim Mosiman Wellness. I have a page there where you can buy and you can reach out and just talk to me about it, whatever works for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I will also give people your social media links so they can connect with you. And I appreciate your input. This is such a big thing for women and it's really not just women because it happens to men too, but when we get to midlife, we get this pain that maybe we didn't have before. And those aches and pains can either derail us or they can push us on. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate your input today and some tips on how we can get around that. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
You have been listening to the Living Life Naturally podcast, where we're on a mission to inform, inspire, and encourage women to live their best life confidently, joyfully, and freely from what's been holding them back. For show notes and free resources, visit holistic-healthandwellness.com. And I'd be delighted if you'd follow us on socials to connect further. If you enjoyed this show, why not share it with your friends? If you found good value, chances are they will too. And of course, a 5-star review on iTunes is always greatly appreciated, as much as I appreciate you listening. So until next time, live life naturally and joyfully.